Graffiti is not the art of the disenfranchised community. This has nothing to do with being poor. This has more to do with I don't have an opportunity to express myself in the way that I want to.
Maybe like decades ago, there's probably more like a minority thing, but I think at this point it's just a bunch of like skinny white kids with pimples with no girlfriend just running around.
I have a friend of mine, she is a graffiti writer. She's pursuing a PhD in genetics. I know people that have never worked a day in their lives and all they do is hustle and they write graffiti. Everybody's painting. Kids in the Midwest are painting, kids on the East Coast are painting, on the West Coast and all over Europe. I mean, in every country of the world, people are writing graffiti. Poor people, rich people, smart people, stupid people. I don't think you can really pigeonhole.
I think it's nonsense to say that graffiti is black or is stereotyped or say that hip-hop in itself is what motivates or pushes graffiti. Graffiti is a part of the subculture that I think hip-hop was spawned in.
Body like a brick house, ass like an annex. Other rookies get nervous, they palm and they hands sweat. Contender surrender, ain't ready for the jab yet. We command respect, keep us up with sandwich fresh. He talks slick, I wrap my hands around your fam neck. Let's keep the violence minimal, I run with violence.
No hook?
We're done the hook. No hook.
You not gonna do the hook yet?
Not yet.
All right, doggy. You want me to just jump off on the end of his joint? All right.
All around, they love this gangster sound. Sexy, slender. Don't let me holler at your tender. Let me get at your girl. Let your body frame surrender. Let me smash your girl. Yo, them cats just get tender. I smoke that sheba leaf and stroke the honeys with the timber. She love me and she limber. Got the prettiest name. I can't oh, fuck. Let me run it back.
I am a hip-hop artist. I perform. But it doesn't have anything to do with my graph. That's just who I am. I just happen to like hip-hop. I just happen to be an MC. But I was a writer before any of that. The song was inspired graffiti. Graffiti wasn't inspired by the song is what I'm saying.
Graffiti has nothing to do with hip-hop. Some graffiti writers hate hip-hop. Some graffiti writers only listen to Slayer. Some graffiti writers are punk rock.
Is graffiti hip-hop to me? No. Graffiti, if it is hip-hop, it's the most rawest form of hip-hop.
I appreciate b-boys. I appreciate what they do. I love what they can do. I mean, I can't do it, you know. Even rap, you know, cool, hip-hop, DJing, whatever. But, you know, graffiti has nothing to do with it.
There was people writing graffiti way before anybody was spinning on their head or making beats or MCing or anything. You know, it came way before that.
If graffiti is hip hop, it is like the bastard stepchild. It came from kind of the same place, this urban expressionism, and it got lumped in together, but graffiti just kind of became its own thing.
The commonality between punk rock, hip-hop, graffiti, skating or whatever, and these are things that I participated in myself, all these things. It's just a certain, it's the spirit of youth and that energy that connects all these things together. And sure, the media connected in the early 80s, breakdancing, graffiti, rap, and packaged it into this one nice little thing. And of course, at that same time, there were white kids in Queens who loved Ozzy Osbourne, who are writing graffiti too.
I understand why the music wants us involved, why hip-hop wants graffiti involved, just like they wanted breakdancing involved. They want as many accessories to this outfit as they can get. You know what I mean? Because they want to keep going back to the pool to get the money. They want to keep going back to the original, oh no, this is the authentic thing, you know what I mean?
Hip-hop has taken graffiti, used it for its own benefits, and given nothing back to us. And that's the reality. You know, why do all these rich rappers, they're not buying pieces off people. They're buying, you know, they're buying Beverly Hills style homes, dude, where old ladies live. They're buying vases and you know, carpets and whatever the hell they're buying. You know, all their rich Beverly Hills style things. They're not even buying into the culture. They're buying out of the culture.
I don't know. This shit used to be like there used to be like 2 on every block like a while ago. And it was a great way for like you to see who's really doing shit and who's not. But now it's just like so far and few in between. It's like, you know, you gotta basically go over somebody if you wanna fucking really live hard, you know? And because none of these people really count, so. I mean, unless, I mean, I know who counts. SI counts, Sense kind of counts, fucking Skid counts. All these people on this wall don't give, they don't count. None of them are from New York, so they don't count.
Downtown Manhattan is completely like tourist graffiti. It's just people from out of town. They want to get noticed and they paint in this, 20 square block area.
I'd say the main reason for it just not being as fun anymore is just the city's way of dealing with it. It's just everything is constantly getting painted over and buffed and whatever, and it's just annoying.
The fact of the matter is the economy's better. People have found ways to combat it better. The penalties have definitely gotten a lot harsher. Demographic has changed. I guess cities have just changed.
Graffiti is becoming like a part of, all the hipster stuff, and what it is to be a graffiti writer these days is a lot different than what it was before.
When I started, it wasn't cool. I think it's kind of the same thing with skateboarding. I mean, now it's like really cool. Not to say I was ever a good skater, but I used to skate and it definitely was not a cool thing to do. And when I started writing graffiti, it was definitely not cool. I think at this point it's like reached like a hipster status, you know what I mean? People come into it thinking that they'll gain recognition or get some sort of, like some sort of press off it, or, they have motives towards doing it other than just doing it.
There are a lot more possibilities that exist today, whereas when I came out, there wasn't a lot of possibilities. Now people are starting to think, well, they could actually make a career out of doing what they love to do. So in that respect, they want props and they want it complete, right away. But I don't always think that that's well deserved.
Because a lot of writers, yeah, I'm up, that's me, let me sign your book, I'm dope, check it out. You gotta pay me $10 for me to sign your book or some bullshit like that, To me, graffiti ain't about that.
You got kids that, that do their whatever freight train, take a picture of it, put it on the internet, and everyone thinks they're hot shit. And that really doesn't matter for nothing.
It's like a whole new era of graffiti where it's like less respect and less guided by these like kind of old school rules.
Now I think that the younger generation has kind of become disjointed from the whole history of graph, and they feel on the one hand that they're not getting any props for what they're doing. On the other hand, a lot of old writers feel that they just haven't been around long enough to get props.
The train riders are like, yo, if you didn't get up before 1983, then you're not a real graffiti writer. And there's a lack of respect for the new generation from the old generation. And since they are not getting any love from their elders, they're like, fuck these guys. Like, I don't care what they say or do. And like, whatever, the train period is over. I'm sorry. I'm young and I wasn't here for that. Like, I'm never gonna care or respect you. And it's really sad for me because I am connected to both.
Kids don't have that they don't have any understanding of the history, so what they're doing is they're like taking shit and biting shit, and it's without any kind of understanding of where it's coming from and the progression of where do they fit in, how am I going to create a style that pushes the art form forward, because to me a lot of the work today is technically tight, but it doesn't mean anything, because I can see, okay, that's Dondi's pump, and that's T Kid's, letter, and that's this kid's, background, and that's, Ernie's 3D. And
seeing the style spread, seeing people use it and bite it, I mean, people get mad, but I like that because it's still pushing it, and I appreciate it, really.
There is no culture that is safe from appropriation.
When you've been a subculture so long, how do you come out to the mainstream? You usually don't do it, somebody else usually does it for you. It's like my pop used to say, you make good gumbo, they gonna put it in the can.
Okay, how does it come here? This and the Vandal ink must be bigger. Corporate America, they be buying logos from us, and they do their shit. They pay us $50, $100, and then they come up with $1 million. A lot of corporate bullshit. They have them. They get graffiti and they use it to advertise their cars and their sodas and their clothes and their shoes. But they hate graffiti, but yet they use it in so many different commercials and movies to promote it. But when it comes to graffiti writers, oh fuck those guys. We'll donate some money for you to get rid of them. It's so cheesy that corporate America can make money on graffiti and I can't, So this is my way of getting paid for what I've been doing for the last 15, 16 years.
I think the thing that probably annoys me the most is just seeing fake graffiti and people who aren't graffiti writers earning off of graffiti and earning off our culture. I think that's probably the thing that's been irritating me the most lately is people that they never have paid any dues. They've never done any real graffiti. They've never They've never done shit. They haven't earned anything. They haven't earned the right to earn off of our culture. And you have people like ourselves, and you know, there's tons of other people out there just like us who have, you know, for the most part, thrown their whole fucking life away on this shit. You know, we probably could have done something a lot more productive with our lives, but because we're so obsessed with this, we've sacrificed a lot for it. You know, we've lost some of our best friends. Some of us have lost, you know, years of our life. You know, at some point lost, you know, loved ones, everything, you know, girlfriends, whatever, your job, your car, your freedom, everything. We've lost all kind of shit. We've paid dues out the ass, and then to see some other person who hasn't earned that right and doesn't really know anything about our culture and who's never even been a participant earning off of it, it's infuriating. I find it personally insulting.
The ones who truly live it, they won't be famous. The ones who really made grab that inspirational force that people love so much, made it that novelty, they'll never be famous. You'll never know who their names are.
So if you're gonna be a writer, man, just shut the fuck up and write graffiti. And don't tell nobody.
Graffiti's been around since the Zooters, that's the 40s. Then it really got crazy in the 70s. Then it really got crazy in the 80s. And now it's still here. Now graffiti, hip hop, culture, graffiti art, graffiti artwork in things, it's almost probably one of the most demanded things around. It's a really cool art form. But we have to kind of get it now to the point where, like this one kid I met his mom yesterday, he would love to do something with art, but he can't. There's no program for him. So why don't we just have a program and put him in the program? It doesn't make sense to me. In a nutshell, I want to have a map where 25,000 buildings in the city of LA, where you would just have, on a computer screen, you would go and you would have permission from that business owner on the 1st of every month, let's say. Anybody wants to just go over to that wall and you'd have all those buildings listed on a website. You'd say, you know, like Marcello's Pizza, the walls on the north, on the west side wall, whatever, bam, it gets painted down, and you don't have to go around at night scheming, stealing the paint, just dodging the cops or the gangs. You go up in the middle of the day, and you work 8 to 5, you get paid. There's plenty of funding from the city. They say there's not. They're full of beans. There is. And these artists could be treated with a lot of respect. A lot of respect. We could take all of their works. We could have competitions every year. East side versus west side. We could have south versus north. It would be an art program that would be duplicated throughout the world. That's the color. Because when you see people up at Melrose, people come up to the artists all day long. When PDB was just doing their thing off the Dr. Zeus wall, we were there doing an interview with them. I would say 50 people stopped and talked to the 7 artists that were doing that wall that day. That's wild. That's cool. Not one of those people that stopped there either had anything bad to say, and not one of those people walked away saying graffiti sucks. They all thought that was cool. And they had a lot of little kids looking at them, and then one little kid commented while we were doing the interview, he says, I want to do that when I get older. So there's no way you're going to ever get respect. You may need an attitude, you may need a swagger, you might get your heart on doing it by doing buses and this and that. But I don't know too many artists that don't have friends or people they know who are dead, locked up, screwed up, sideways. So why waste your time getting hurt, getting caught, getting arrested, getting run over, if you could go to a program where you can make money? Why spend 3 years learning how to screw up all the property to get to the skills that it takes you to do if you could go to school and get those skills right away? And maybe I won't let you go climb a billboard, but I think, you know, with 50,000 riders in the city and 150,000 gang members, that's 200,000 people. That's 5% of our population that has to have some kind of venue where they can just go out and do what they want when they want to do it. And I think let's get on. Let's get it going. EI, extremely insane artists. They're having it out with these other guys, DGC. So if these guys sit at this bus stops arguing about this graffiti, how much it costs if they start shooting the place up instead of arguing about this? So what? I'd rather replace a $5 screen than have these guys shoot each other. So you tell me what's a better trade-off? I mean, what's the cost of a human life? And I guarantee you, people that are critical about what I do, ask them how much volunteer work they do in their community, and I guarantee you, the most energy they do at night is arguing about who's changing the remote control in their life. Una más? Oh yeah, see? You can have my job. The problem is I don't get paid, so I think you better keep your job. Thank you very much.
he gets the same kind of high as a graffiti writer from seeing himself up, from people talking about him. I used to joke with him and be like, you know, we should go out one night and, you know, you buff the big block and I'll use that for the filling of my letters. And he kind of laughed like, yeah, I can't do that. I had graffiti removal in West LA, and the guys that were driving the truck were complaining about Joe Conley's graffiti because he'd, you know, there'd be a no parking sign tell you which days and what times not to park, and he'd buff over the whole fucking thing. The whole thing would be beige, which makes no sense, you know? And then these graffiti removal people that it's actually their job would have to go back and clean up his crap. So that's his tag, you know, he sees it and he gets recognition from it.
God bless him. He's trying to clean up his community, and that's all great, you know what I mean? If I could rewind time and be one of those dudes, maybe I would be one of those dudes. Who knows, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know, let him do whatever the hell he's gonna do. It's not gonna change me from painting graffiti. I'm gonna paint graffiti whether that dude's alive or not. But maybe he'll get some of these kids not to write graffiti, you know? Maybe he will change some people's mind about painting graffiti, and that's cool. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Less people that write graffiti, more paint for me.
Dangers as far as like going into dangerous areas, like when I lived in Baltimore and DC, you know, because I grew up around it, I never really looked at it as being dangerous because I was so used to it. But yeah, we'd walked into a layup one time and walked past some like makeshift graves that were fresh, and it was really creepy. And they'd found people there like dead before, and there would be like people hanging out under the bridge, and it was really dark, and there was just, you know, it was the perfect place to get gaffled. Every yard or layup around where I live or in the area, I've been chased at. So like I have a small phobia about every single spot now because I've had something bad happen at all of them because I've been to all the spots so many times. Obviously painting trains is dangerous. I mean, like a locomotive is probably like the most powerful land moving object in the world. So, you know, you don't want to play around with them. You got to pay attention. There's stuff moving around in the middle of the night. Like a lot of times, if they're just moving the cars around and bumping them from different tracks, moving around, you'll see like one boxcar just float by silently, like connecting to the different lines when they're lining them up. And like if you're not paying attention, that could be really deadly. Crossing like in between two trains, you know, if they just happen to like bump the car right at that moment, that could be really dangerous.
I've never been caught in a train yard. The only trouble I ever got into with trains is I got nabbed right when I got back to the car, so they couldn't really prove anything. I didn't have any paint left or nothing, so I got prowling. Sounds kind of perverted, but prowling, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the story of Ty. So I met him when he was about 18 years old. I've never met anybody with such tenacity and obsession towards graffiti. First time I've ever seen Ty was me and MQ were walking on Market Street, and we noticed this kid doing throw-ups like right out in the open, and he's like screaming to himself and almost like freaking out or spasming or some shit. He did his throw-up, jumped on his bike, boated out on his bike, and it hit the trash can and flew face first over the trash can and tumbled over his bike. And me and MQ were like, holy shit. And we ran over to him. We were like, holy shit, you're Ty, what's cracking? And he basically became an apprentice to MQ, and MQ just flourished him, and they would do huge fucking massive throw-ups, and all of us were jealous of it too. I mean, straight off the bat, he used to say, you know, fuck your rainbows, and he would basically clown me and Revoke's pieces, you know, because our shit's all pretty. And so we would clown, you know, he'd be clowning our shit. Do some blocks, do some blocks. Well, he moved in with Fate and MQ, and he lived basically in a laundry room. One day, we noticed that there was this area was taped off, and there were detectives. And that night, Ty didn't come home. And then Fate came up to me just bawling, just, you know, Ty's dead. It was Ty who got killed. How it went was Ty was climbing up these stairs, and this man lived here who had sensors on the stairs and had cameras. And everyone in the neighborhood knew not to fuck with him because he was strapped. And Ty was climbing up, you know, a little kid was climbing up the pole. And he pulled him down off the pole and started beating him down with the butt of the gun. And Ty screamed for his life, no, don't shoot me. And as he flew down the fucking stairs face first, that motherfucker shot my friend in the back of his fucking head. And it all landed where I'm sitting. You know what I'm saying? And So they didn't even fucking take him to jail. So Fate's girl his mom worked at the press, so we tried to hype it up that our little friend got killed doing graffiti, and the press didn't give a shit. No one gave a shit. And we even had a memorial, and all the kids in this little area right here in the local scene came over and had a memorial. And he came out here and videotaped us and says, I'll videotape you, I'll shoot you too, look at the brains. And the cops came and kicked us out. And then, you know, we had to go to his funeral. And his parents didn't know anything about him. His parents didn't know the legacy that he left behind, that it even mattered. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know anything about their own son. And it was sad because his son brought more people together than anybody I've ever seen. I mean, now Ty's name is all over Tokyo by Bennett. Bennett has put up 10,000 King Ty rest in peace stickers all over Asia. MQ, Fate, and Bennett went behind the police impound where the shipyard is, basically. They had these old abandoned ship. And the abandoned ship that they actually did these huge 22 foot tall by 180 feet long tie blocks on this ship. It makes me hate graffiti. Absolutely. It makes me hate graffiti because the bug and the will and the obsession that's in us puts us in harm's way. And we can't escape it. That's why I hate it. And that's why there are some things I regret. And if Ty was here, you know, I mean, it's like we're starting to become martyrs to a certain degree for this. I mean, it's becoming in that direction, you know?
So, that's pretty much all I can say.
We used to go in the tunnels all the time. Me and my boy Mees, we would go down there with bucket paints. We'd run in through the tunnels, and we start setting up camp because it's, you know, it's a big process to be able to do the big, huge blockbusters that are, you know, 15 feet tall. But you know, we loved doing it because we knew the impact when that train pulled up there and all you saw was that huge NM outside the gate of that huge Mees. I mean, there was no way they could ignore it, and that was, you know, something we were about.
All these walls were bombed, and this round right here they bombed this for years. I don't even know how they cleaned it off, it's so dirty. It's hard to see now because anti-graffiti has done such a great job in Philadelphia as far as getting the graffiti off. Now, cleaning the floors and making it smell good, they don't got no money for that. But they get the graffiti out so you don't gotta see how bad it looks. You get down here and you could smell how old this place is. This is terrible. And they were right on the walls here. You can see some of the black in there from back. And that's like after they buffed it many, many times. This door right here, this door used to stay unlocked. All we had to do was bang into it, boom, and it would come unlocked. We would go in here, there's a tunnel that leads up to the platform. That's how we would break it to the subway for free if we wanted to get in there, because that passageway actually leads to a pipeline that goes right onto the platform. Free ride every time. And this is like just some of the ways that we learned to manipulate this system, because it was such a huge system, we could manipulate it. We knew we could. And in a city that wasn't really ready for that. We used to cherish this area. Now, believe it or not, this thing was bombed from end to end. And I mean the whole thing. Concourse was the biggest little wall of fame section that I ever seen when I was a kid. I thought it was like the greatest thing that ever was, man. I knew that I could do my thing down here. You could get lost in here. This thing goes on for blocks. It didn't matter how many writers was getting down here. There was still gonna be room for you. And the city just came through and said, you know, we're gonna have to clean this place up, and they did. Not too many people really do have pictures of it.
I guess we never really took the time to document it fully, because we saw stuff that used to last forever. So we thought it would be there because it was like all about being in a moment. You know, I guess that's, you know, existentialist as you could possibly get, you know what I mean? Because it was all about the moment. Like right now, we rule.
But when you get further down the line, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm in my 30s. When you get further down the line, you look at it differently. It's definitely not the same thrill or rush that it was, but it definitely has this kind of, it has this weight within you. Like you can't escape it. You know that it's a big part of you. You know, I find myself all the time, I tag on all types of things. I tag on little papers, I'll be standing in the phone booth and just write on it, you know? And I try to control that because I know it's wrong. You know what I mean? To just be tearing things up at my age, you know what I mean? I know that that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't need to get my rep out there, I already did that. But at the same time, it's where it all started. It's the comfortable zone. It's where you feel good, where you feel real. And I think that's what they're trying to get across to you. They just don't know how to say it. They want you to believe the facade, that they're these big, bad villains. You know? I'm just wrecking everything, I'm fucking everything up. That's great, you know what I mean? But that's just telling me that you're caught up in it right now, because you can't really articulate what you're doing. You just know the raw feeling of it. I'm bombing, I'm tearing things up. Gotta grow up quick in this world. And when you get involved with graffiti, sometimes it's already too late. You know, people have already decided who you are. You know, you have to realize you're gonna be looked at as the enemy, as a vandal, as a criminal, as a lot of times as a fool. You know, they're like, you're foolish, you're a foolish person. So, like I said, to be able to take something like that and make it into a positive, you know, is most important, because there's so many things that you can't turn into a positive. I mean, street life as it is, you know, you become a killer, that's it. You know, drug dealers, they go to jail for long periods of time. Graffiti writers, they lumped us in with all of those people, and we're not, we were artists. So we had to get the tough skin, we had to live like they live, and be persecuted like other people, like you're doing the wrong thing. But we really, you know, we were really just being creative, being ourselves, and until you can get to that point where you can really be honest and say, that's what you were doing. And not try and fall into the role that they're giving you. I'm hardcore, I run these streets. You know what I mean? Because that's how we felt about it. We run these streets. That's the title they're giving you. So that's, you know, that's what we had to reevaluate. That's what I had to reevaluate. That's probably what I would pass on to anybody who is living the kind of life we were living, is that, you know, this doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to make it like this. You see, your man got slumped and your boy's in jail, but you don't have to take those positions. You know, it's really up to you right now, not tomorrow or the next day. You gotta take control right now. I think that's the only lesson you can get out of my life, you know?
It's not really like an addiction, but more like a sickness. You cannot control yourself once you start, if you really understand what you're doing. The minute you get that first tag, you feel like I could have done that better, and you gotta keep moving.
Graffiti is like a big race, but there's no winner. All you can do is stay in the lead for as long as possible.
Every single graffiti writer is a manic depressive, insecure person, because that's the only thing that makes you want to go out and write on somebody's shit.
I believe there are a lot of misconceptions about graffiti. It is not one type of person that writes graffiti. It spans.
It ain't even about my face. It's just about a name.
Tagging is like the most buttery essence of graffiti. No matter where you cut the tag, somebody's gonna see it.
Why did people put the presidents on Mount Rushmore? Why did they do that? They got a big kick out of doing big faces, or did they want to leave a mark? They wanted to leave a mark.
I write graffiti, and you gotta deal with it.
Holy shit, that is a lot of vandalism.
The egos, the beef, the jealousy, the law, the sicknesses, the injuries, the hatred, the violence, that's graffiti.
I went over you.
But I love graffiti. It's a dysfunctional relationship.
The repetitiveness of it gets really addicting.
I didn't just bomb it with cans. I scratched the windows with rocks, took markers to the mailbox with signs, stickers, whatever it took. I bombed that whole neighborhood.
This is gorgeous. This is beautiful. But see, then as soon as you turn around from this artwork, look at this pile of crap over here on the sign. There's like 14 pieces of graffiti. They etch up the sign. They got all this stuff here. They got a little bitch tag up there. I don't get it.
This is the guy right here. As I was hopping over this fence, I was holding myself up, and I just heard the crunch. My shoulder completely dislocated and came all the way out of the socket. Everything just went rip. And I landed on the spike. I realized that my stomach had gone all the way inside of here. And this is right here. So that's how deep it really was, you know? It wasn't bleeding a lot, but what was coming out of me was a lot of fat. So I was just covered in fucking fat, like this yellow sticky cottage cheese. So I slept and then went to the doctor the next day. The surgeon came out and stuck his whole fucking finger inside my stomach. He said, you know, good news, you just missed your stomach lining. Bad news is we gotta stuff it. So the first night I'm trying to stuff this shit all the way inside my stomach, and it was too painful. I actually could stuff about that much gauze all the way inside. The spot is worth it, and it's still up. Yeah, you wanna see how sick I really am? This is how demented I am. I don't want to smell it. Oh. That's my blood. That's my guts, bro. Oh, that's so bad. Oh, Jesus. I'm gonna put it back now. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, it's fucking smells. Oh. Oh, get in there.
At least keep it in the fridge.
Jesus